Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our ISO 39001 Road Safety Management System Lead Auditor course. This course is going to be conducted for 5 days. Classes will be carried out every evening at the same time, unless there is a problem or unless you guys want it otherwise. So, before we get into the session and start the session, let's establish some ground rules. Please make sure that you keep your microphones on mute at all times. Only unmute when you want to ask a question. And it's better to ask a question during the session itself instead of just waiting for the end of the session. You can type your questions in the chat as well. And as we get time, we will answer those questions one by one. Kindly do not write anything on the screen because it will disturb the others, and make sure that you keep your microphones on mute. Okay, so before getting into the session, we'll have a small introductory session. I'll introduce myself first. My name is Furqan Ali Haider. I'm the corporate HSE manager for Al Jaber Energy Services and Global Process Systems. I've been working in the HSE field for over 20 years. I've been a trainer for more than 10 years and I've been a manager for over 12 years. I'm basically a civil engineer. I did my civil engineering in 2004. And since 2004, I've been working in the HSC field. I'm a certified safety professional, CSP, with the American Board of Certified Safety Professionals. I'm a chartered member of IOSH and I've done the NIBOSH diploma. I'm also a member of American Safety Professionals and I'm a OSHAD Grade A practitioner. I started off as a junior engineer and I worked throughout my career from HSE engineer, senior engineer, trainer, manager, and now I'm the corporate HSE manager. And I have my own institute, which is the Absolute Training and Consulting LLC. Okay, so what is Absolute Training and Consulting? Absolute Training and Consulting is basically a training and consulting firm, and we work across the Middle East providing quality health, safety, and environmental trainings and consulting services. We are based in Sharjah, and we are a free zone company, and we provide our services in energy, logistics, food, and all kinds of management system sectors. Okay, so before we go on, let's have a small introduction of who we have with us in this course today. So what I'll do is I'll call out your names one by one. So please introduce yourself, give us a brief introduction about yourself, what your qualifications are, and what your previous experience is, and what your current job is. So we'll start off with Abdullah. Abdullah, kindly unmute and introduce yourself.
Okay, sir. My name is Abdallah Ahmed Abdallah. Now I'm from Oman. My case advisor in the oil and gas field for now
Okay.
for 1 year. 1 year
Very,
experience.
very nice, Abdullah. Welcome on board. Then we have Ali Afridi. Ali Afridi, please unmute and introduce yourself.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Ali Afridi. I am working with Alfaro Engineering as a road safety coordinator. I have experience in road 6 years. My career as IMS coordinator 6 years back, and I have done my master in economics.
Okay, welcome, Ali. Welcome on board. Next, we have Mr. Muhammad Khalid. Khalid, please unmute and introduce yourself.
Yes, sir. Thank you, all of you. And my name is Muhammad Khalid from Pakistan. My education is BA B.Ed. And I am serving as a road safety officer in Afshan field and having more than 8 years experience in road safety.
MashaAllah. Welcome on board, Khalid. Then we have
Thank you, sir.
Tanveer. Tanveer, please unmute and introduce yourself.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Tanveer Zareed, for Road Safety Coordinator from NMDC Energy. Been working as a road safety for the last 10 years and looking forward to have this achievement on my resume. Thank you.
Great. Welcome on board, Tanveer. Then we have Zia Afridi. Zia, please unmute and introduce yourself. Zia Afridi, kindly unmute and introduce yourself, please. I think Zia is unable to communicate with us at the
Assalamu
moment.
alaikum.
Yes,
Am
Zia,
I
go ahead.
audible?
Yes,
Assalamu
we can.
alaikum. My name is Jah Rahman, basically from Pakistan. I'm lead road safety from CPAC P5 project, and my education background is MBA, and I've been working last 10 years as a road safety coordinator.
Mashallah. Welcome, Zia. Good to have you on board. Then we have Mr. Akdas Nadeem. Akdas, please unmute and introduce yourself.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum and good evening to everyone. Yes, my name is Akdas Nadeem and I am also working as a road safety coordinator in China Petroleum Engineering Company, Abu Dhabi. Yeah.
Very good, Akdas. Welcome on board.
Thank
Then
you.
we have Mr. Atul. Atul, please unmute and introduce yourself.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Atul, currently residing in Asab oil field, working for ADNOC. Actually, I'm new to this field, have experience of almost 1 year. Previously, I was working as a HSE trainer, work at height rope access trainer in India. So I'm
Great.
very much excited to join this session.
Very good, Atul. Nice to have you on board. Anyone else who has been left and hasn't introduced themselves, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. This is Imtiaz Ahmad Khan. Basically, I'm from Pakistan, and for almost 17 years, I am related with HSC profession. Now it's my fifth project as a road safety. Nowadays, I am working with Petrofac. This is my second project with Petrofac as a lead road safety. Thank you.
Welcome on board, Imtiaz. Good to have you on board. Then we have Mr. Ali Almas. Ali, please unmute and introduce yourself.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. I am Ali Almas. I am basically from Pakistan, but currently working in Saudi Arabia. My previous qualification is in Nibosh, IG level 3, and currently I am pursuing logistics field as of my job.
Very nice, Ali. Nice to have you on board. And I think we have completed. Oh, there is one more student, Zamin Ali. Zamin, please unmute and introduce yourself.
Assalamualaikum, sir. My name is Zamin Ali. I'm from Pakistan. Basically, I'm a mechanical engineer and I have no experience right now.
Okay, so you're a fresh candidate. So welcome on board. I think so. We've completed the introductions. So let's get into the session, guys. So basically, ISO 39001 standard. This isn't a new standard. It's been around for a while, but there's been a lot of focus on ISO 9001, which is a quality management system standard, and 14001, which is the environmental management system, and 45001, which is the health and safety management system standard. But there hasn't been a lot of focus on ISO 39001, mainly because majority of the organizations, they ask for simply an IMS, and IMS usually is considered to be of those three standards which I've just mentioned. However, if you look at the ISO 39001 standard and what it basically can help organizations achieve, it is extremely important to have this management system in your organization. So So let's slowly get into the contents of the presentation. Okay, so we've completed the introduction. You understand about our organization as well now. So we're going to go through some important definitions, and we're going to look at the introduction and the importance of the road safety management system. Then we will start getting into the standard itself. We'll look at the context of the organization and what this clause offers in the standard. We'll look at the leadership, which is a very important aspect of managing road safety in your organization. Planning is also another key element of the road safety management system standard. We'll also look at the support and operation of the road safety management system. And finally, obviously, when you implement a management system, you want to achieve certain outcomes. So in the performance evaluation, we're going to have a look at how you can evaluate yourself and whether you can gauge that you have achieved your desired outcomes or not. So performance evaluation will help us understand that. And finally, improvement. This improvement clause is in every ISO standard, and it basically helps us achieve perfection, and it helps us make our management system efficient and keep on improving our performance. Okay, so basically this standard, it sets out the requirements for having road safety management system in an organization. So once you have a road safety management system in your organization, the key outcome is going to be that it is going to reduce the number of fatalities and serious injuries associated with the road traffic accidents. So this is the prime objective of this standard. So it helps organizations establish various processes within their management system that helps the organization to ultimately prevent the death or serious injuries of people in any kind of road traffic accident. It helps improve the overall traffic safety performance. It also helps establish, implement, and maintain and improve the RDS management system. By following this standard, the organizations are going to be able to assure that they are conforming to their policy or the commitment their management has towards the road safety. And it can also demonstrate conformity with the international standards. So this course is going to help you achieve all of this. Okay, so basically, this standard, as I told you, it's very, very important because there is a huge chunk of fatalities and injuries which happen in the workplace, and that huge chunk relates to road traffic accidents. So one of the main causes of fatalities in major injuries at work is related to traffic accidents. There are many other obviously incidents in the workplace which take place, but major injuries and fatalities most of the time they are related to road traffic accidents. I mean, you can have first aid cases and restricted work cases and other work occupational hazards. But the biggest occupational hazard which I have come across, and in fact globally as well, is road safety. I'll give you a small example just to explain how important road safety is and how people normally overlook road safety. Now, that example, usually I give this example in risk assessment trainings as well. Now, you all are familiar with risk assessment, right? You're all health and safety professionals. Does everyone know about risk assessment, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you're all familiar with risk assessment. What I'll do is I'll give you a small example, and what I want you to do is tell me out of these two hazards, which one has a greater risk associated with it. Okay, let's consider those two hazards. First hazard I'm going to give you is H2S because most of you guys, you're working in the oil and gas sector. So hydrogen sulfide, as you guys know, it's a lethal gas. Even one breath in H2S at high concentrations can kill you. Okay. So let's compare the risk of H2S with the risk of driving. Driving obviously is also a very big risk, and if you meet an accident, there's a possibility of serious injuries and fatalities. So in your opinion, guys, use your understanding of the risk assessment process, and in your opinion, which hazard do you think is a greater risk, presents a greater risk to people? You can type in the chat box, which risk do you think poses a greater, which hazard poses a greater risk, driving or H2S exposure? You can type your answers in the chat box. Click on chat and you can type your answer here.
In my understanding, the driving is more dangerous than H2S. Not dangerous, the more hazardous, you can say.
More hazardous. So Akdas thinks driving is
Hazardous
more
means hazardous
okay.
means it's more like lethal. Uh,
Okay.
uh, and if
I have
we
driving. Okay.
count the
H2S.
number of chances, the risk in driving is greater than H2S.
Okay, good. Anybody else? Abdullah says H2S. Does anybody else want to comment on this?
Yes, sir. Driving, I would say,
Okay, yes,
it is
sir.
a dynamic activity. Things change every minute, every second while you are driving. So I would consider driving as
Driving
has a more potential. Yes.
is a bigger risk. Okay. Anybody else, guys? Anybody else wants to say something?
Same, sir, the driving, because whenever we are in driving, it means we are in risk at all time. We are in risk, and even the other road user or the other people also in risk because of that driving.
Exactly. So a very good discussion, guys. So basically, I'll give you my take on this as well, and I'll explain why I consider driving poses a bigger risk to us. Okay. So when you look at risks associated with any hazard, you consider two factors. One is the severity and one is the likelihood. Now, basically, severity for both of these hazards, if there is an exposure to a driving accident or if there is an exposure to H2S, the severity more or less will be the same or similar. Okay. So when you're thinking about severity, you have to think about the worst possible outcome. So what is the worst possible outcome if someone is exposed to H2S? The worst possible outcome is fatality, that they might die. Okay. And what is the worst possible outcome when someone, is exposed to a driving accident? Again, in that case also, it can be death or multiple deaths, multiple fatalities can take place. For example, if there is a bus accident that might involve multiple fatalities or multiple serious injuries. Same is the case with H2S as well. If H2S is released in high concentration and people do not have effective PPE, there can be multiple fatalities. So severity, more or less for both hazards, is the same. So if you rate it on a risk assessment matrix, the severity will be up there in a 1 to 5 matrix. Severity will be 5. Okay. Now you look at the likelihood. Now this is where the what you call it main difference comes into play. When you look at likelihood means how many chances are there of that incident actually happening. Okay. So how many chances are there of people being overcome by H2S and people dying from H2S? And then you compare the chances of people dying from road safety accidents. Now, likelihood basically is determined based on previous history, number of people, okay, and duration of exposure. Duration of exposure, driving is much higher than duration of exposure to people who are working in H2S. H2S is available in limited areas or limited locations. It's not present everywhere, whereas we drive almost everywhere. Okay. The second thing is number of people. Obviously, there'll be limited number of people working in H2S areas, whereas everyone who goes to work has to travel to work and they are exposed to driving. And then definitely, if you look at the previous accident history, how many people have you heard in the last 15, 20 years have died from H2S? Maybe one or two. Does anybody remember anyone dying from H2S in the last 20 years? I can remember 3 fatalities from H2S in the last 20 years.
Yeah,
And
I
when you
think it was in Sheffield, sir.
yeah, exactly, you're correct, Imtiaz. And then compare that with the number of people who die every year in road traffic accidents. That is huge. So when you look at the previous incident history, that is where the likelihood of driving is much more. So driving, you're much more likely to die in a driving incident than you are likely to die in a exposure to H2S. So when you multiply these two factors, severity and likelihood, then driving, it comes up much higher than the risk of H2S. Okay, so that's why driving is very, very high risk activity, and we need to make sure that we have sufficient controls in place. So, as we discussed, driving is one of the major main causes of the fatalities and major injuries in the workplace. And reducing road traffic incidents is going to help improve your overall progress as well. And organizations that can handle the risk of road traffic injuries, they are basically they can establish a good management system in line with ISO 39001. So basically, management is necessary for effective road injury prevention. So in order to prevent injuries related to road traffic incidents, you need to manage them properly. So how do you manage them properly? Basically, you need to have a methodical and result-oriented strategy to ensure that road safety is managed effectively. You have to set appropriate road safety goals, road safety objectives and targets, and that can help various organizations at national level and at regional levels as well to improve their performance. The most recent ISO management system standard framework, which was introduced by ISO, is ISO 39001, and it was the previous version was issued in 2012. So this is the standard which is currently in practice, and we are going to go through the contents of this standard shortly as well. What are the benefits of implementing 39001? Obviously, it's going to help prevent fatalities and severe injuries. It's going to help improve the road traffic systems. It can help improve the system design, operation, etc. It also helps lower insurance premiums as well. Obviously, if you have greater accidents, the insurance premiums are going to be much higher. I myself am a prime example. I had 2 accidents last year, and my insurance premium has gone up by 1,000 dirhams. Okay, so having more accident is going to definitely increase your insurance premiums, and if you can demonstrate to organizations, sorry, insurance companies, that you have a road safety management system in place, that is going to help reduce your insurance premium. And this counts a lot in logistics companies. When you have a large logistics company and we have a lot of kilometers driven, a lot of road traffic, that is where your insurance premium is going to matter, and it can be reduced in the number of millions. Okay, so if you have, let's say, a logistics company, you're bound to have 100 to 200 vehicles in your fleet. and some organizations have much bigger fleets. So the insurance premium of these 200 or 300 vehicles, if you reduce that insurance premium by 1,000 dirhams per vehicle, that is going to have a huge impact. So you can save millions of dirhams for your organization. Also, it helps increase the business, raising the organization's profile. Basically, if you are in the logistics business especially, organizations who are going to give you business, they are going to look at your certification as well. So if your organization is certified to ISO 39001, that is going to raise your profile, and you're definitely going to win more business as well. Okay, so what does ISO 39001 actually does? It helps, basically it helps various organizations reduce the number of incidents, and it has been instrumental in supporting very prominent international organizations, and it has helped them improve their road safety performance. Globally, 39001 is being now embraced at all levels. Even small businesses and medium-sized businesses are implementing this as well. And there are several advantages which ISO 39001 gives to various organizations. So now we're going to go through some basic definitions. These definitions are as per the ISO standard. And what I will do is, as we go, I will share the ISO standards with you guys in the now WhatsApp group as well. The ISO 39001 standard, I've just opened the table of contents for you. This standard is basically on the new Annex SL structure, okay? And this is in line with all other ISO standards. So all the ISO standards nowadays, they have the 10 clauses, okay? ISO 9001 has the same 10 clauses, 14001 has the same 10 clauses, and 45001 also has the same 10 clauses. So this standard also 39001 also has the same 10 clauses. So this is the table of contents, which we will discuss in detail shortly, and I will share this with you as well. So in this standard, we have a section which is section 3, terms and definition. So these definitions which I have taken, they are in line with the definitions mentioned in that section, clause number 3 of the standard. Okay, to start off with, how would we define a management system? What is a management system? A management system basically is a set of interrelated or interacting elements of an organization to establish policies and objectives and processes to achieve those objectives. So basically, what does a management system does? A management system helps an organization achieve certain objectives. Okay, so it helps the organization establish various processes, okay, and put together various elements, and those elements work together, they work in unison to achieve those objectives. That's a what basically in a nutshell what a management system does for the organization. Okay, earlier we talked a little about risk. Now when we talk about risk, the only thing which comes to our mind is injuries and fatalities and preventing those. Risk basically, initially, the definition of risk was limited to health and safety, whereas in the recent ISO standards revisions after 2010, in fact later on as well, the definition of risk has been modified so that it has been generalized to fit all walks of life, not just health and safety. Now, this definition of risk, which is in the ISO standard, all ISO standards, they have the same definition of risk. Very, very simple definition. Risk basically is the effect of uncertainty. Whenever you do something, there is a certain element of uncertainty. Uncertainty, what does that mean? Uncertainty means that whatever you are doing, it can have different outcomes. What kind of outcomes could be there? There could be a positive outcome or there could be a negative outcome. Okay. So that uncertainty, the effect of that uncertainty is known as risk. Now that risk is further divided into threats and opportunities. Or simply, if you want to use the term risk itself, you can call it risks and opportunities. So the negative outcomes of any kind of uncertainty is known as a threat or a risk, and the positive outcome of any uncertainty is known as an opportunity. Okay, so the same definition applies here to this standard as well, risks, and it can be divided into positive outcomes and negative outcomes. Positive outcomes will be known as threats or risks, and the positive outcomes will be known as opportunities. Negative outcome will be known as the threat or the risk. Okay, so this is an important definition to remember. Then we have road. How do we define road? Can anybody, we have a lot of road safety guys here today. Who is going to give me the definition of road? Road ki definition kya hai? Who can tell me what is road? Who is going to define a road? Or should I call your names, guys? Who can give me the definition of a road? Yes, Akdas. Akdas, are you there?
Yeah, yes, sir, I'm here.
Yeah. So, in your opinion, what would be the definition of a road?
Sir, road, as it's like written here also, is a surface that vehicle and people they can use to go from one place to another place, or a road is a surface that connects to destination.
Exactly. So basically, a road basically is means for your vehicles to travel on. Okay, it's a service on which your vehicle travels, and basically, it's not only vehicles which are, I mean, tire mounted vehicles which are traveling on the road. There can be other vehicles that can travel on the road as well. For example, if you have a pathway on which a tramway is traveling, a tram is traveling, that is also known as a road. Okay. So any kind of crossings that come across that this road terminology, it covers them as well. So railways are included in case railway level crossings are there on the operating on the roads. Okay, opportunity. We discussed the definition of the opportunity. Opportunity basically is a circumstance or set of circumstances that can lead to the improvement of performance. Okay, so opportunity is the positive outcome of any uncertainty. Then we have competence. What is competence? Competence is the ability to apply knowledge and skills to achieve the intended result. So, can you call someone competent if they have the training on a certain topic? No. They need to be able to apply the knowledge. So, to apply knowledge, you need to have certain experience as well. You need to have certain skills. You need to have the ability to apply knowledge. So, basically, if you can't apply your knowledge, okay, if you can learn things, if you can memorize things, but you cannot apply that, you cannot say that you're competent. So competence basically helps you apply the knowledge that and skills that you have gained. Now in this standard, you're going to go through various phrases, and one of the most important phrases in this standard is documented information. What do we mean by documented information? Now, in order for a management system to be functional, you need to have various information, various types of information available. Now, if that information is available just verbally, then that information cannot be retained or transferred very efficiently. So that information needs to be documented. What kind of document can you use to keep information? Any kind of medium can be used. It can be either a soft copy, it could be a digital file, it could be a hard copy, it could be a video, it could be an audio. So any kind of medium which is used to store information falls under documented information. So basically, what is documented information? Information required to be controlled and maintained by an organization and the medium on which it is contained. So basically, this standard specifies at various occasions what information needs to be documented for an organization to be able to implement this standard in a robust manner. So documented information is a very important term which you guys must remember. Okay, next the definition is process. Process basically is a set of interrelating activities which transform the inputs into outputs. And then procedure. Procedure basically is a specific way to carry out various activities or a specific way to conduct a process. So these are terms which are going to be used in this standard and in this training. So that's why it's important to understand them first. Okay, now as this course is a lead auditor course, you need to understand what auditing is as well. We'll get into the details of auditing later on. But first, we need to understand the definition of an audit. What is an audit? An audit is a systematic, independent, and documented process for obtaining objective evidence and evaluating it objectively to determine the extent to which the audit criteria has been fulfilled. Okay, so all these terms of audit criteria and everything we will discuss in detail. Simply put, an audit basically helps you determine how effective your your road safety management system is. Okay, so basically you look at various processes, you gather evidence, and you examine that evidence to determine whether you are fulfilling the requirements of the ISO 39001 standard or not. Okay. Okay, very important definition, conformity. A lot of guys working in the health and safety must be familiar with the term NCR, non-conformance report. Okay, so what do we mean by conformance or conformity? Conformity or conformance, simply put, is the fulfillment of a requirement. And that requirement can be any requirement. It could be any requirement mentioned in the ISO 39001 standard, okay? Or it could be any legal requirement as well. Or it could be the requirements of your clients as well, okay? So if you don't fulfill a requirement of the ISO 39001 standard, that becomes a non-conformity. If you don't fulfill any legal requirement, that becomes a non-conformity as well. And if you don't fulfill the requirements of a client, that also is considered a non-conformity. So basically, a non-conformity is the non-fulfillment of a requirement. Have you guys heard of the term compliance? Can
Yes.
anybody tell me what does compliance mean? What's the difference between compliance and conformance?
Compliance means that meet the standards.
Compliance means meeting the standard. What does conformity
Yeah.
mean? What does conformance mean? It means compliance, conformity are the same, or no? Is conformity and compliance the same or no?
Up to some extent, but maybe conformity is overall, and compliance may be of some specific part.
So basically, there's a very fine difference between compliance and conformance. Okay. Conformity is a term used when you are fulfilling the requirements of a standard. Okay. And remember, standards are not mandatory. Okay. Now, the requirements ISO 39001, these are not mandatory for an organization to follow. Similarly, the requirements of ISO 14001 or 45001 or any ISO standard, the requirements given in those standards, they are not mandatory. It is optional for the organizations to follow them or not. whereas compliance is done with mandatory requirements, a requirement that is mandatory. For example, legal requirements. Anything specified by the law, you have to comply with the law. Or any contract that you have with the client, contractual requirements, that is also mandatory. You must fulfill your contractual obligations. So you comply with the contract, you comply with the legal requirements, but you conform to the standards. Okay, so the term conformance is used with the standards. So conformity means fulfilling the requirements of a standard, and compliance means fulfilling the requirements of the law or the contract. Okay, so this is a very slight difference you guys need to understand, compliance, conformance. But in layman's term, both mean the same, fulfillment of a requirement. Conformity is fulfillment of a non-mandatory requirement. Compliance is the fulfillment of a mandatory requirement. Okay, so that's the slight difference between the two. Okay, next is the definition of incident. How would you define an incident? Anybody who can recall the definition of incident, how would you define an incident? Guys, I need your participation, guys, because I cannot talk all the time, and if I keep on talking, you guys will lose a lot of information. So kindly please try to participate and give your inputs. Yes, Atul, you want to say something?
Incident is anything that has a potential to cause harm.
Potential to
That
cause
has,
harm.
yes.
Okay, it's you're defining it. It's slightly similar to a definition of hazard. The difference between a hazard and an incident is that an incident is an event. Hazard is not an event. Okay, a hazard can be an unsafe act or an unsafe condition. Okay, now incident basically is an event. Event क्या होता है? Event is a वाक्या. It is a happening. Something takes place. Something happens. Okay, there is a elapse of time. Time pass होता है, and there is a hazardous event which takes place. So that is an incident. So
The
basically, the yeah.
incident, uh, uh, accident can be an incident, but incident
Yes.
cannot be an accident.
ये मैं थोड़ा सा आपको क्लियरली एक्सप्लेन करूंगा. बेसिकली इंसिडेंट जो है ना, वी कॉल इट कैन बी एनी इवेंट. नाउ एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ दैट इवेंट, someone can be injured, or in another circumstance, no one might be injured. Okay, so an incident basically, if you look at the definition of the standard and read it carefully, it will help you understand. So, incident is an occurrence arising out of the course of work that could or does result in injury. इसमें दोनों आ जाते हैं, could or does. Could means हो सकता था, there could have been a loss, there could have been an injury, and does actually does result in an injury. Now, when you look at this definition, an incident is simply an event. It is any event, okay, which could have various outcomes. If the outcome is an injury, it is called an accident. If there is no injury, it is called a near miss. Okay. Who will give me example of a near miss related to road safety? Road safety near miss. Who can give me an example?
Any event in which two vehicles sharply turn closely to each other is one of the example of near miss.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. That can be counted as a near miss. When two vehicles, they are very close to each other and they nearly have an accident. They nearly collide with each other. That is known as a near miss. Okay. And if
And if
they
they
actually
collide,
hit each other
it's called
and
accident.
there is damage, then it becomes an accident. Yeah, you wanted to say something? Yes. Yeah. So basically, a near miss is when an event takes place, but there is no damage, there is no injury, there is no loss. Okay. So damage, you guys know what can be damaged, right? In terms of health and safety, people, property, environment. Okay. If there is a incident, okay, and someone is injured, people are injured, that becomes an accident. What else can be? Maybe there is no injury, but it can still be an accident if there is damage to the property. If a vehicle hits another vehicle, there is no injury, but there is vehicle damage. That is still an accident. Okay. And if there is damage to the environment, for example, there is an accident and there is oil leakage, diesel spillage, that is damage to the environment. Obviously, a vehicle property is also going to be damaged as well, but environment is damaged. So three categories are there when it comes to loss or damage. The loss could be to people, property, or the environment. Okay, so that can be harmed. So incident basically is a broad terminology. It is used for all types of events, all types of hazardous events. A hazardous event which leads to damage or loss, or a hazardous event which could have led to damage or loss. Both of them are known as an incident. So, Atul, is that clear now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So, incident is a broad terminology. Both a near miss and accident, both are incidents. Okay. But not every near miss is an accident. You can say it like this: every accident is an incident, and every near miss is an incident, but not every incident is an accident, because sometimes it can be a near miss. Okay. So this is the definition of an incident. It's important to remember that incident can have both outcomes, loss and no loss as well. So accident and so definitions are here. An incident where injury or ill health occurs is sometimes referred to as an accident, but in this case, we are going to consider property damage as well. This definition standard of the standard only refers to injury or ill health. Near miss basically is also known as a close call, an incident where there is no injury or no damage but has a potential to do so. It is referred to as a near miss or a near hit or a close call. Next definition is corrective action. Now, we're going through the standard. So, when you carry out audits, as a result of the audit, you will find out that an organization may be conforming to the standard, and there might be occasions where the requirements of the standard are not being fulfilled. When they're not being fulfilled, that becomes a non-conformity. Now, to address that non-conformity, various actions are taken. Okay, guys, and this is important to remember. To address an accident or a non-conformity, or in fact, let me rephrase this. To address an incident or to address a non-conformity, you can take two types of actions. In fact, there are two types of actions: correction and corrective action. Okay, can anybody guess what the difference between a correction and a corrective action is? Correction and corrective action. What could be the difference between these two? This is
Corrective
another very
action,
important. Yeah, go ahead.
corrective action are those process we use to make the correction.
Okay.
Yeah, like the output of the corrective action is correction.
Okay, to some extent you are right, but let me explain the difference between the two. Now, when a non-conformity takes place, which means there is a non-fulfillment of the requirement of the standard, okay, or when an incident takes place, the first or immediate thing you do to address that non-conformity or that incident is correction. Okay. For example, there is a bus which is traveling and the driver was overspeeding. Why was he overspeeding? Because he wanted to get to lunch in time. Okay. Because at the mess hall there is too many people, and if you arrive late, the food is cold and you won't get enough food. Okay, so this is a situation which I'm putting in front of you. So the driver was overspeeding to get to lunch on time, and he met with an accident. As a result of the accident, the tire of the bus exploded and people got injured and there was oil leakage. Now, in this situation, you will take both actions. You will take correction and you will take corrective action. Now, correction are the actions that you will take to rectify that situation. Okay. For example, repairing the bus, that is correction. Okay. Treating the injured people, that is correction. Cleaning up the oil spilled or the diesel spilled in the accident, that is also correction. Okay. So basically, when something has gone wrong, you need to put it right. Where the actions, when you take actions to put things right, that is known as correction. Now, corrective action is the action that you're going to take to prevent that incident from happening again, or the action you take to prevent the non-conformity from happening again. That is known as corrective action. So in corrective action, how do you take corrective action? You have to do a root cause analysis. You have to conduct a detailed root cause analysis to determine what are the causes that led to that incident, or what are the causes that resulted in this non-conformity. Okay. So when you take actions to eliminate the causes of a non-conformity or an incident, to make sure that that incident or non-conformity does not happen again, that is known as corrective action. Is that clear, guys?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So the difference between correction and corrective action is very important to be remembered as well. So when you do investigation of road traffic accidents, you need to understand what the main difference between them is. Then you have continual improvement. Continual improvement is a recurring activity which is used to enhance your overall performance. Documented information, we'll discuss this. In documented information in the standard, there'll be two types of phrases which are used. One is to retain documented information, and the other one is to maintain documented information. Retained documented information refers to keeping records of training and inspection and audits, etc. And maintain documented information is when you have to maintain a procedure or a policy. Okay, here are some more important definitions. What is a road network? A road network basically is a system of roads in a given area. So in a specific area, you have a system of various roads that is known as a road network. What is road traffic? Road traffic is basically motorized or non-motorized usage of the road. Okay. So basically, if you are using the road with motor vehicles or non-motorized, even bicycles, they also fall under road traffic. Okay. So whether they are motorized or non-motorized, that falls under the road traffic. Then there is road traffic crash, collision or impact on a road causing death, injury, or damage. Okay. So a road traffic crash is any kind of collision or impact which can cause death, injury, or damage. What is a road traffic incident? An incident, a road traffic incident is an occurrence arising from the failure of a component or external contributing factors of the road traffic system. What is road traffic safety? Road traffic safety, basically, these are the conditions and factors related to road traffic crashes and other traffic incidents that have an impact or the potential to have an impact on death or serious injury of the road users. Then road traffic system basically is a combination of the road, vehicles, emergency medical system, road users and their interaction. So all of these combined, they are used to demonstrate the term road traffic system. What's a road user? Any person using the road is a road user. Road traffic safety deficiency. It is any appearance or condition and factors related to the road traffic system that led to the death and serious injury of the road users. Corrective action, obviously, action, road RTS corrective action taken to eliminate the causes of road traffic crashes. RTS performance, this is basically the measurable results of an organization's management of its contributions to the road traffic safety. Okay, what is RTS performance factor? A performance factor basically is a measurable factor or an element or a criteria which contributes to the road traffic safety that the organization can influence, which allows the organization to determine the impacts of the road traffic safety. Then we have preventive action to reduce or eliminate the risk of road traffic crashes before they actually take place. So preventive actions are taken before an accident takes place. Then we have RTS targets. RTS target basically is a detailed performance to be achieved, and it is consistent with the policy and RTS objectives. Serious injury with which can have long-term health effects on the injured person, and top management are the people or person who can direct and control the organization at the highest level. Okay, guys. So as we were discussing, the ISO 39001, it is on the same structure. It has the same 10 clauses as all the other ISO standards. So ISO 45001, which is the health and safety management system standard, the 14001, which is the environmental management system standard, 9001, which is quality management system, and 22,000, which is a food safety and information security, 27. All of these have the same structure, the same 10 clauses, which I showed you guys. And these clauses vary from, they start from clause number 1, which is scope. Then you move to the normative references. Then you have terms and definitions. All the standards, these have the same structure. Then you move to the main standard, which is the starting from clause 4, which is context of the organization, then leadership, planning. So all of these main clauses in all the standards are exactly the same. Um, so if you move onwards, it can take you down further. Sorry. Yeah, so leadership is there. Clause number 6, planning. Clause 7 is support. Clause number 8 is operation, 9 performance evaluation, and 10 is improvement. So all the ISO standard have exactly the same structure. So there's a correspondence, or there's a commonality between 39,001, 9,001, 2000, 14,001. These are very similar in structure. Okay, now organizations, they go for various certifications. Many organizations, they have the ISO 9001 certification, they have ISO 45001 certification, okay, and they have ISO 14001 certification. Okay, can we certify 39001, guys? Can you get a certificate for ISO 39001 for your organization? Yes, you can. Why?
Yes.
Because ISO 39001 is a auditable standard. Okay. So the standards which are usually ending with the sequence 01, okay, like 9001, 45001, 14001, 39001, all of these standards are auditable standards. So the standards which are ending with 0, these are non-auditable standards. Okay. So usually you cannot get certification against them, but some organization will certify these as well. But as a rule of thumb, the standards ending with 01, they are auditable standards, and you can get third-party certification for them. And ISO 39001 is such standard. Okay, so if you're working in a logistics company, or a transportation company, or in an organization where road traffic safety is a huge factor in your daily operations, it is highly recommended that you suggest your organization to get ISO 39001 certification. It is highly recommended. Why? Because it is going to raise the profile of your organization. It is going to put your organization in a very prominent situation, in a very prominent standing amongst your competitors. Okay, so this is a very important, and you should discuss with your management in order to achieve this certification. It's very important. Now, as you guys are doing the lead auditor course, as a lead auditor, you need to understand what is the certification process or the certification cycle. So if you want to get ISO 39001 for your organization, how are you going to go about it? Okay. So the first starting point of certification is an inquiry. You will float an inquiry to whom? To various certification bodies. Okay. Who are certification bodies? Certification bodies are organizations which certify other organizations against the international standards. Okay. For example, Bureau Veritas, okay, DNV, QRS, and us as well, obviously, ATC. We are also a certification body, and we can provide certification for various standards, including ISO 39001 as well. Okay. So these are various certification bodies which are in the market, and you can use any of them to get certification for ISO 39001 for your organization. So basically, what is the benefit for your organization? It is going to help your organization stand out, and you'll become visible to your client. So first of all, you float an inquiry to various certification bodies. They might give you a form to fill or an application form to fill out. So you complete the inquiry, then you complete the application. Once that application is completed, you're going to have to tell them how big of an organization you are, what is the fleet of vehicles that you are managing, what kind of road traffic safety operations do you do. So all this information will be gathered in there, and then you can proceed with the stage 1 audit. So the first certification audit consists of 2 stages. There's a stage 1 audit and there's a stage 2 audit. Stage 1 audit basically is a document review. Okay. The document review is simply the or a certification body. They're going to have a look at your documents, and if there is any major discrepancies or there any major things which are missing, they will let you know. Then you can revise your documentation and submit again, and then they will come and do the stage 2 audit. So basically, stage 1 is your readiness audit. It checks the readiness of the organization for the stage 2 audit. So once these stage 1 and stage 2 audits are completed, and you are conforming to the standard and there's no major non-conformity, then you will be issued a certification. Okay. So you will get ISO 39001 or whatever standard you are auditing against, you'll get that certificate for you. Now, does that end there? No. This certificate is valid usually for 3 years. Okay. So the validity of this certification for your organization, it is 3 years, and every year there is a surveillance audit. Okay. So end of year 1, there will be the first surveillance audit. End of year 2, there will be the second surveillance audit. And third year is going to be recertification. Okay. So this is the certification cycle, and then you follow the stage 1, surveillance audit again and again, and cycle keeps on going. So this is the certification process which you guys need to understand as lead auditors. Okay, so at the top there are accreditation bodies. Accreditation bodies, they monitor the certification bodies. Accreditation bodies include various bodies such as UCAS, okay, IAS is there, okay. Then there is the ASCB, okay, various other accreditation bodies. Then there are certification bodies like ATC, BV, QRS, and then there are organizations who are seeking certification for their organizations, various companies, various businesses, which operate various fleets of vehicles, or which have what you call it, road traffic aspects related to their business. They are organization who can seek the 39001 certification. So as we discussed, as initial audit, stage 1, stage 2, then year 1 surveillance audit, year 2 surveillance audit, and year 3 is certification. So what is accreditation? Accreditation basically is endorsement from a certification body, and usually a registrar maintains the accreditation of the certification bodies, and certification bodies maintain a registrar for the certification of various organizations. Okay, so what does a certification body do? It basically conducts audits of various organizations and decides whether you are complying with the requirements of 39001 or not, and it issues you a certificate as well. This is the certification process. Now, the PDCA cycle, or the plan, do, check, and act cycle. The PDCA cycle, or the PDCA methodology, is a very, very important methodology, and it applies to all standards. Just like ISO 9001, 14001, 45001, the PDCA cycle also applies to ISO 39001. Okay. So ISO 39001 is also based on the PDCA model, on the PDCA cycle. Okay. So plan, do, check, and act. What is the PDCA model? PDCA model is a model which helps organizations achieve continuous improvement. It helps you keep on improving your performance. So you plan something, you do it, or you implement it, then you check it, then you act again. So basically, what is the plan? In the plan stage, you determine the system and each of its necessary components. So basically, you determine what you're going to do, what system you're going to put in place, what are the components of your system. So this is all of your planning phase. Then you implement that plan. Okay. So you put in place various procedures in the planning phase, and then in the implementation phase, you're going to implement those procedures. Once you are implementing those procedures, you need to determine whether those procedures are effective or not. Okay. So you do that in the checking phase. So PDCA. So in the check phase, you are going to evaluate how well the planned measures are working. And then finally, we have the act phase. When you are monitoring or measuring your performance, you will come up with various findings, and you might have to take action on those findings. So you need to act and improve your road safety management system and your road safety performance as well. Okay, so as we discussed, the main clauses of the 39001 include clause number 4, which is the context of the organization. Then we have leadership and commitment, planning, support, operation, and performance evaluation. And finally, improvement. Okay, so what do we mean by the context of the organization? Now, basically, context of the organization means when you're developing your road safety management system, you need to consider various internal and external issues that can have an effect on your road safety performance. Okay. So basically, you need to determine what are the internal issues that you might come across and what are the external issues that you might come across. Okay. For example, there might be the external issues might include certain legal requirements that you need to follow. Okay. External issues might include various client requirements that you need to implement. Okay. Or it might include various restrictions that are implemented on your road safety, traffic safety. For example, if you're operating in the cities, okay, there will be different speed limits in the areas. Okay, if you're operating outside the cities, there will be different requirements over there. So there are various external requirements that can influence your road traffic safety. Then there might be various internal issues that might affect your road traffic safety. Okay. For example, the availability of competent drivers. Okay. That might be an internal issue. The driver's training that you have to carry out, the maintenance of the vehicles that you have to conduct. Okay. So all of these internal issues can be a cause of concern. So that is why the standard says that you need to determine what are the external factors or external issues that might influence your road traffic safety management system, or what are the internal issues that might affect the outcomes of your road traffic safety management system. Okay. So you need to determine what are your internal issues and what are your external issues. Okay. So the organization needs to identify its role in the traffic system. Okay. So what is the role of your organization in the traffic system? Are you a user? Okay. Or are you involved in building roads? Okay. Or are you involved in regulating roads? Are you controlling your internal roads? If you are a big, what you call it, workplace, or if you have your internal roads, okay, you need to take care of them as well. So you need to identify what your role in the traffic system is. Identify the processes associated, activities and functions of the organization. So basically, in terms of road safety, what are the processes that are involved in your organization? What kind of activities associated with road safety are you going to perform? Are you only going to be driving on the roads, or are you going to be involved in maintenance of the roads, or are you going to be involved in construction of the roads, or are you going to be involved in design of the roads? Okay. So you need to identify what your organization's function is. At which stage of road safety are you involved in road safety? Determine the sequence or interaction of these processes, activities, and function. So basically, you need to understand what is the sequence of the activities that you are performing in terms of road safety, and how these activities are going to interact with each other overall. Okay, so basically, we talked about internal and external issues. Now, similarly, internal and external issues are there. There will be various internal and external interested parties. Okay. What is another term which is used for interested parties? We call it stakeholders. Okay. So you need to determine who are the internal stakeholders or internal interested parties in your organization's road safety management system, and who are the external interested parties. Okay. Now, all of these stakeholders or interested parties, they will have their own needs and their expectations. Okay. They will have their own needs and their own expectations. So, internal parties, what kind of internal parties might be interested in your organization's road safety? Obviously, your employees who are the passengers. Okay. Then there could be your management. okay, your sister companies, the board of directors. So all of these are internal interested parties. Okay. So all of these are internal interested parties that can have an influence or be influenced by your road traffic safety management system. And then there are external parties. Who are the external interested parties? The external interested parties could be the police. Okay. There could be the traffic police or traffic wardens or whatever you call them. Okay. There could be other road users. Okay. Organizations who are operating in the same area as you are. Okay. And there could be various road safety bodies or governing bodies. So road traffic safety, basically you will have various internal interested parties and various external interested parties that are going to have an influence on your road traffic safety management system. So basically, you need to determine what are the needs and expectation and what are the requirements of these interested parties. Okay. For example, the police or the government, okay, they might set various legal requirements. Who can tell me what is the legal requirement related to road traffic safety in UAE? Can anybody tell me what is the law related to traffic safety in UAE?
So mainly the UAE legislation, the driver should have the valid UAE license,
Yes, but where is all of that defined? That is defined in the federal law. Sorry, not 24, it's
1995 in UAE law.
exactly. So the UAE traffic law, I will share a copy of that traffic law with you guys on the
Which one? So the same
group as well.
1995.
Federal law of number 21 is there, and then there is
Yes,
a new law which is federal law number 14 of 2024 as well.
Okay, okay.
I'll share both of these regulation with you guys on the group. So the traffic law is available and we need to make sure that we comply with this law as well. Okay. So I will share with you guys on the group. Okay, so all of the requirements of interested parties include the legal requirements as well. That is included in the legislation. So you need to make sure that you are familiar with those requirements, and those requirements must be incorporated in your organization's road traffic safety management system. Okay, so this is very, very important to remember. Okay. So when you are understanding the context of your organization, you need to determine the scope of your road traffic safety management system. What do we mean by scope of the road traffic safety management system? Scope means to which activities or to which boundaries does your road traffic safety management system apply? Okay. So basically, it sets the boundaries to which this management system is going to apply. So the organization shall determine the boundaries and applicability of the road traffic safety management system to establish its scope, and it should consider, when you are determining the scope, you need to consider internal and external issues. You need to consider the requirements that you need to comply with, and you need to consider the planning requirements that you need to put in place. Okay. So the organization, basically, you need to establish what is the purpose or the goal of your road traffic management system, and how you are going to reduce the fatalities and serious injuries within your organization. So you need to determine the scope or the boundaries of your road traffic management system. So once you establish a management system, you need to basically implement it. maintain it and improve it, and you need to make sure that it meets the requirements of this international standard. Okay, next clause is leadership, and I think it's already 9 o'clock. So I think it's the first day today, so we'll limit ourselves. We don't want to jump and go ahead too much. So I'll leave it here, guys. So we covered the introduction of the course today, and we've covered the clause number 4 of the standard, and we're going to continue with clause number 5 from tomorrow onwards. Do you guys have any questions so far in today's session? Anything you guys would like to ask?
Sir, these slides and the standard.
I will share the standards and the slides on the group shortly, and the recording of this session as well. Okay.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Fantastic. Any other questions, guys? All right. I think
No, sir,
that's
clear.
Thank you. Thank you for attending today, these guys. I think it's enough for today. I hope I didn't bore you too much. And tomorrow we're going to have a few interactive activities as well, because we're just starting. And hopefully tomorrow you'll be a bit more engaged, because we'll have a bit more interaction and exercises from tomorrow onwards. Okay. So thank you very much for attending the session, guys. And we'll see you guys at the same time tomorrow evening. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir, thank you so
All right,
much.
guys. Take care
Thank you
and have
very
a
much.
good night. Bye bye.
Bye, sir. Bye, bye.